to, but I mean all of you. And I don't mean from us necessarily, but you can, because there'll be a couple days where we're not here. So that's just the way it's going to work. When you approach the All-Star game, oh, yeah, it's that low, slow time of the year where you just got to sit back and think about how godforsaken hot it is and there's nothing happening. That's like universal this time of year. If you're in the South, if you're in Texas, you're so, God dog it, this is ridiculous. I forgot how ridiculous it gets around here.
Go on, get. It's that season.
It's
season. It's time to go on, get.
Man, it's like, I just mowed you yesterday. Why are there weeds? What is happening? This is nuts. So that was me over the weekend. And again, yesterday, I was like, it's too much. 110 heat index. Who could talk about sports in this climate? It's awful. And it's like broken record time too, because you get into a lot of the discussions are always about something you've already discussed, or it's a projection or some sort of, well, I mean, just think about this for a second, and it's
Well, here's a question you haven't answered yet. What do you think about our linebackers?
Oh, man. I think they better stay healthy, and they're not very good even if they do. There you go.
That's new. Let's discuss.
You've never heard me say that before. We may not need them. Seems like modern football, you may not need a linebacker. It's crazy. Just have, 3 or 4 down linemen and a bunch of defensive backs, a bunch of hybrids just sprinting around the place. And, the only problem with that, by the way, and I'm only half kidding. The only problem with that is it's hard to find dudes 190 pounds running 4.40s that also come up and tackle somebody in the run game, especially if that somebody in the run game is, Trey Benson size.
About 205.
Yeah, no. The tweeners are all over the place these days. It's true.
Trey Benson size indeed. Today they met with the media, Jordan Travis and Trey Benson, and I believe the number he threw out there, he currently weighs 226.
Yeah, man, he looks like he weighs 226. I thought last year when he was weighing 216, 217, I was like, no, you don't. You don't weigh 216. I stood next to him when we were talking. Now, listen, he's put together differently. I'm 52 years old, but I weigh 225-ish, like right in there.
No, you'd be very good at the carnival game of how much do you weigh.
Right.
You're good at that.
Well, and I'm looking at him, and he's obviously a lot thicker and bigger than me. Now, again, muscular. He's a lot more muscular, but we're standing next to each other, and he's listed at 215. I'm like, come on, man. My man ain't 215. That dude is huge. And he runs like the wind blows. He's a weapon. He's a monster. I'm really, really looking forward to watching him run this year, because that's gonna be their default. They're gonna run the football.
Yeah, that's what they want to do. It's they're about being physical, and then what that does.
I love that, man.
Is open up. Well, and
I just love it.
They could be more physical this year. You've got an offensive line equipped to be more mean, and that's great because we haven't had one yet with this coaching staff. You've had a couple of guys on an offensive line that have maybe a bit of a mean streak, but you haven't had the size and the athleticism combined to impose your will. Now, Trey did say that he wants to get back down to 220, 226, a little much. Well, because he wants to keep his speed up.
His speed ain't going anywhere. He carried all that last year. It's crazy. He's amazing. I think he ends up, in the NFL at 225, 230. He's just he's a menacing figure. When he catches the corner, we've had the great privilege of being at practice when he catches the edge. And, the guy in the history of this program, the guy that wowed me in a way that almost startled me a couple times was Carlos Williams. Carlos Williams did something that not Dalvin Cook, not anybody, for his sheer size and speed combo that I'd never seen done. See the kick return in the national championship game as he catches, Whitfield. It's nuts.
There's I have to. Whitfield.
There it is. Yeah, but, the obligatory.
The garbage time, second half 2013 Miami game.
Oh, yeah, the foot in the ground jump cut. You and I standing next to each other.
It's a jump cut.
It's dumb.
It is crazy.
It's a weird subject matter. I'll tell you this right now. Carlos Williams should have had a 12-year career in the league. He went in. He made an impact right away.
Immediately.
He was a massive figure in the backfield, and he just ate himself out of the league. And look, man, I don't know that he loved football. I'm not putting words in his mouth. I don't know. He just seemed indifferent about it. but boy, was he crazy athletic for that size. I mean, we all think about Dalvin Cook catching the corner because he's a blur, and he did the dead leg and set you up and understood angles better, and he had incredible vision and all those things. But in terms of sheer size, mass, speed, Carlos Williams was the best thing I ever saw catch the corner out of practice.
I know,
or in a game for that matter.
I also know sometimes inside football, the industry, people wince at this, but he very much was the ATH in the video game. You know, it's like, what home can you find for Carlos? Because he played linebacker for us when we won the 2012 conference championship.
Yeah,
he played linebacker at that point.
Yeah, well, he had played safety. He had played linebacker. He had played running back. Yeah, they were moving him every which way. He was a freak athlete.
Yep, just a true athlete with incredible 0 to 60 for the size that he was, which was massive. Just a huge guy.
It really was startling. Like, he doesn't come up right away because everybody's going to talk about the superstars of that team and what those guys went on. I mean, you had a Kelvin Benjamin on that team. I mean, it's silly. It's silly.
Every time you say that name, I think about being on the sideline 10 years ago now. Time flies, unfortunately. But how high Kelvin Benjamin went to go secure that touchdown after the turnover, first drive, basically
against Clemson, yeah.
Instantly, what KB did. And I'm standing there, and his thigh and hip are over my forehead in terms of height. It is just the dumbest thing that he could do in terms of getting off the ground.
Yeah.
But for Carlos, it was when he put his foot in the ground, everybody just went, ooh, you have to catch your breath. It is absurd because you think of the danger of somebody moving at that speed, at that size. If it was coming right at you, the decision you'd have to make.
Well, there have been a few guys in this program. It's kind of fun. I didn't plan on this at all, but we're having a fun conversation. It's the time of year to have fun conversations. There have been guys where I thought, this is why you have to change the rules on kickoffs. You're going to get somebody killed. Like, this is why, I mean,
yeah.
Nigel Bradham,
yep.
I remember thinking, is going to kill somebody on a kickoff. And Carlos, same thing. Like, that dude running full speed, you've got problems. If 255 running 4.4 is coming your way, that's not normal.
That was the first part of his career. He was the wedge buster.
Yes.
And that was unfair. And he was a true freshman at that time.
Well, we had a mutual friend who was also a weapon. And, Ernie Sims did things to people where you're like, oh, okay, I don't. And anybody who's ever played, you take pride in your toughness and your willingness to stick your head in there and hit somebody. And I like to hit, and I enjoyed the physical aspects of football. I think most people who hit hard and love the game, that's a point of pride. Like you kind of puff up a little bit knowing that you're a hitter. But there were people that were transcendent hitters that were different. And Lawrence Timmons was a guy like that, where if you ask players, who do you not F with? So in practice, you'll watch guys in drills, you'll watch guys in 7-on-7s, you'll watch guys in full team getting after it, right? And so every now and then somebody hits somebody in such a way, and then everybody yells and jumps, and it's a big deal. Well, the guy who gets hit like that usually has an answer for it in the next rep or two, or gets right up to let them know they're okay and pushes back and challenges a little bit. That, like, hey, man, it's football. I'm all right. You can hit me. But then there are guys who take exception to that, and dudes just walk away. They just walk away. They don't want to agitate the monster. They don't want to bring about the pain. And I remember players telling me Lawrence Timmons was that way at linebacker. Like, no, you don't get up talking. Don't say anything to him. Don't act like that was all. Just get up, jog your ass back to the huddle. You don't need to say anything. This is not what you want to do. I love guys like that. I'm wondering, we don't have that at linebacker here.
No.
And we haven't had it in a while.
Not to make you more mad about the linebacker position, but when you talk about tandems of guys that could really lay it down, and you would feel it in the 50th row at Doak, you're talking Buster Davis and Lawrence Timmons.
Oh, I love Buster Davis, man. That dude is an underrated joker now.
But that's probably the most recent example is Nigel and Telvin together. Maybe they didn't play a whole lot together as Telvin's career went. I mean, when you're talking about 1-2 tandems and recency, Buster Davis, Lawrence Timmons are maybe among the most recent tandems that we've had that are fearsome at that position.
Yeah.
That's when I was in college.
Yeah. And well, those weren't great teams. No.
But the linebacking.
No, they would come up and hit you. Yeah.
What I'm saying is, Telvin Nigel, Telvin Terrence Smith. I mean, where are we going here to find a tandem that you go, bring your lunch, man? because you're about to get it served to you.
Buster was always cool because he's had that low center of gravity and he was so thick, and you're just like, ooh, I don't want any part of that.
Percy Harvin hit no 6.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But if you're 5'11" out here at 240 running, 4.6, 4.5, that's a problem. I mean, that kind of player doesn't really exist right now. But the thing with Buster, I always felt like he got overlooked because he had the situation where he left the team briefly and was homesick and didn't want to be here. It's amazing. I'm glad social media wasn't really a thing the way that it is now, or Twitter really wasn't a thing the way that it is now, because he was allowed to kind of find himself and come back. He kind of figured it out, what he stood to lose. Coaches gave him a little bit of breathing room because there wasn't so much noise in the system, as they say. It wasn't like somebody on a board calling out somebody that day for leaving practice or leaving town, followed by amplified concerns and discussions, which followed by, comment after comment after comment. And then at some point, the coach feeling some sort of pressure to act now. Instead, it was allowed to breathe a little bit, and they were allowed to kind of work that thing through. And it's always great that it worked out because he came back, and now he loves Florida State. He's in the Atlanta area, I believe, and I know he's always pimping for Florida State. So, different time.
2006, your top 3 linebackers in terms of tackles and production were Buster Davis, who had 109 tackles that led the team, 5 sacks to go along with that. Lawrence Timmons had 5 sacks as well, but your third linebacker was Geno Hayes. I mean, those are brighter days.
Rest in peace, Geno Hayes.
But those were brighter days for the linebacking core. I mean, you got to go back that far to think about a 2 or 3 deep. I get it. 12 and 13, it's there as well.
Yeah.
But it dropped off immediately after that championship season. Terrence Smith was a nice player, but he was hurt most of that season. And you don't have a whole lot since then that you say, boy, that is a Florida State linebacker. Just doesn't happen.
Yeah, and I'm still waiting. And it's frustrating to no end. I'm really hoping that, obviously with a clean slate in front of you, you got all the time in the world to diagnose and run around when you got a defensive line like this one this year. So those two should be much better. I'm talking about, obviously, Tatum Bethune and Kalen DeLoach. DeLoach, to me, I don't want to put this in the wrong category. DeLoach, to me, is, again, and I say this every time, he can be good. I mean, he has played the position in a way that I'm drawn to. Think back a couple of years, that BC game on the road, where he made a gazillion tackles, including one where he's being blocked and he one-arms the guy over by the sideline inside the 10.
Yep.
Like that. He played the position the way you want it played, taking on blocks, not running around blocks, understanding, coming up, hitting people, playing physical. And then, it kind of went away. He was dealing with injuries, and then he shot out of a cannon to start last year. And then halfway through the season, that's not there. None of that speed is there. None of the playmaking is there. I'm figuring he's playing through injury again. And then the same thing with Tatum Bethune, who starts the year well, but then I think he quickly went downhill due to injury and did not want to hang in there, even though, and I'm not calling him soft. I mean, if you're hurt, you're hurt, especially if you have a bad shoulder. Well, that's a problem to deal with blockers. And our defensive line wasn't good.
Yeah, you got a guard on you immediately after every snap. There's a fatigue that comes with that, both mentally and physically.
Right. And there's no question. And I think that affected him. But the bottom line is, at the end of the day, it's not a personal attack that I'm making here. I'm just assessing linebacker play has not been good. And at some point, when you're talking about the difference between winning and losing against great teams, when you're trying to compete for championships, all of these different things have to be, your ducks have to be in a row. You'll get exploited. People exploit them in the pass game all the time. All the time. They isolate those matchups. What's a good offensive coach going to do? He's going to find a one-on-one matchup with a guy that can't win that matchup, meaning the defender can't win that matchup. And we've had some guys that really don't cover all that well. And if I'm a coach, I'm like, well, am I going to attack this defensive line? Am I going to deal with the monsters in the middle that they are rotating? Am I going to deal with Jared Verson on the edge or Peyton? No. You know what? I'm going to attack them in the secondary because they're a little unsure, and then I'm going to exploit these linebackers in coverage in the middle of the field.
Yeah, I think Omar Graham has a chance. I think DeMarco Ward has a chance. Can't wait to see Nicholson. They're not devoid here. And these two of those guys, the first two I mentioned, are very early in their careers, so we'll see how the development goes. But they don't have nothing anymore. You've got two starters that you like, one that you maybe could fall in love with in DeLoach if he looks, the potential is realized. It's a dirty word, potential, but if it is realized, you could fall in love with Kalen DeLoach and he could be a game breaker for you real fast, especially with that defensive front. You talk about a guy being featured. If that defensive front dominates and Kalen DeLoach is shot out of a cannon, that dude's going to be a tackle for loss machine.
And that'll
be
fun to watch because when he was doing that early last year, you're like, oh, that's a blur. And you remember, I mean, we were very fortunate the Super Bowl season in Tampa Bay.
Yep.
Now you end up having a guy who has that season, and then that may be all he ever does. I mean, that season was magical, but watching a dude go sideline to sideline and all that stuff in the flats, which because of the Bucs defensive line, he was free to get to. White was just like every time you looked up, you went, oh my God, look at that poor bastard. The guy would barely catch it in his hip and turn, boom.
Yeah.
It was glorious. Like, can't do that. Can't do that. Now, I'm not saying either of these two are that, but I do think Deloach has a lot of speed.
Yeah, and Bethune could be a thumper on first and second down. I also want to see, this is where the fun part of the defensive conversation comes in. We discussed in kind of a backwards way, Braden Fisk, how he could be flexed to outside on first and second down to set the edge. Same thing with Dennis Briggs. There's versatility with those two players, unlike many others, where they could play over the ball 3, or they could play outside and set the edge. Like these are all possibilities. But then also when you talk about the back end and what Adam Fuller wants to do, if Shaheem Brown is an enforcer, then do you really have to have 2 linebackers out there, first, second, and third down? Probably not. And if that's the case, then who do you put out there? What does it look like? It's just the different permutations this year for Adam Fuller. We talk about it on offense all the time. Pick your poison when we line up on offense because there are weapons everywhere. On defense, even though they aren't household names and they don't have the star potential of a Jordan Travis or a Trey Benson or a Johnny Wilson, you have multiplicity. You have Swiss Army knife players, and therefore you have options, especially when you can set the tone up front with that front 4. Want to see what Adam Fuller does. Do we look more multiple this year? Because he could do it.
Well, I hope so. I hope we can do some things we haven't been able to do. Be more multiple, less predictable, and play zone efficiently. That'd be great. That'd be 3 things we haven't done. That'd be really, really cool, and that's a step forward, and that means you're that much better, and there are only a couple teams that on this schedule that could exploit you either way, so you ought to be able to experiment some in certain games when you're up by 24 and get guys used to playing things they haven't had to play before in a game. They practiced a lot of things, but they haven't always brought it to the field on Saturdays.
Yeah, the one thing that I thought improved immensely last year, even though they were banged up, was the communication at the linebacker level. Like, it had been so poor. You couldn't get lined up. You wouldn't have they weren't coordinated,
as you recall me saying repeatedly.
Correct, but I don't know that the football IQ was through the roof either of the player on the field, so you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. You do have a veteran presence in Akeem Dennett's safety if you're talking about checks and getting guys where they need to be alignment-wise. But then last year, the communication was worlds better with Bethune.
Oh, there's nothing worse. Together. Yeah, you and I can't stand when we're watching a game together or even apart and just texting each other like, "Look, here they are, last second, screaming at the sideline. Nobody knows where the hell they're supposed to be." That's the worst because that should never very seldomly happen. That should very rarely happen. It does happen to everybody every now and again for a variety of reasons, but it shouldn't be a thing you see every Saturday where you look up and you're like, again with this? It's the first quarter.
They don't know the play.
They don't know the play. We're still waiting. We're still waiting. We're on our heels. We can't attack like that. If you're reacting, you can't. Segue here in a second. A couple NFL items, including some players going to get suspended for gambling. Dumbasses. That's unbelievable. Jeff Cameron Show PR firm to the rescue, perhaps. 2-0 Braves leading Minnesota in the 4th. Update you there. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Hey, this is your stomach speaking. It's time to eat again. We met deadlines and closed out the workday like a boss. The last thing you want to do is cook dinner. Even worse, pick up any fast food garbage. We need something good, something local. We need foodiestakeout.com. An all-star lineup of local spots like Smitty's Tap House, El Jalisco, Terry's Cafe, Hangar 38, Metro Deli, and more. It's so easy. Just choose pickup or delivery, and let's eat the good stuff. I'm growling already. Visit foodiestakeout.com.
Discover seasonal sensations full of passion and flavor at Café de Martín and El Bar, a one-of-a-kind culinary and cocktail concept created by classically trained chef Martín Araujo. This summer, escape to your own Peruvian paradise in the capital city and experience handcrafted, colorful, refreshing cocktails like the Chilcano de Maracuyá, made with authentic pisco, mixed with lime juice, passion fruit, a splash of ginger ale, and bitters. Or enjoy a classic pisco sour made from grapes produced in the nutrient-rich rich lands of Peru. At Café de Martín and El Bar, everything is handmade from fresh ingredients con amor y pasión, with love and passion. From the moment you open the doors, you're immersed in the culture and transported to Tallahassee's only upscale Peruvian culinary experience, full of surprises with every dish and every drink. It's Café de Martín and El Bar on Capitol Circle Northeast in the Esposito Shopping Center. Open Monday through Saturday for lunch, happy hour, and dinner. Online at cafedemartin.com.
Power Mill Training Academy equips motivated athletes focused on baseball and softball with the specific tools to reach their true potential. Now, you'll read that if you go to their website, but I'm here to tell you that, look, whether it's your daughter wanting to play softball, your son wants to play baseball, or maybe they just want to have fun and get the most out of their abilities, and that's where Power Mill comes into play. They've got coaches and camps that teach for every level of play for your son or your daughter. To learn more, go to PowerMillSports.com.
Leaky faucet, busted pipes, clogged toilet? M&L Plumbing is here for you. For all commercial, construction, and residential plumbing issues, call M&L Plumbing at 575-9393 or visit online at mnlplumbing.com.
Clean, renewable energy means fresher air, healthier residents, new green jobs, and a stronger, more resilient community. How we get there is up to you. Share your input today to help shape the Tallahassee of tomorrow. Take the Clean Energy Survey at talgov.com.
If you've been considering getting a new hot tub or upgrading your existing hot tub, now's the absolute best time to do it. Hot Spring Spas has the jets on full blast, and the prices right now have never been hotter. You can find huge savings at Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas, and we mean huge. For a limited time, you can get up to $5,000 off in instant discounts and rebates, plus 60 months no interest financing for qualified buyers. You heard that right, $5,000 in discounts. And that's not all. When you buy a hot spring spa from Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas, you'll get a free consultation to determine the best placement in your yard for installation, a free accessory of your choice, and install can be completed in just a matter of days. It's the most aggressive rebate program that's ever been available to buyers from Hot Spring Spas. So stop by Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas on Greer Road today to check out their 12,000 square foot showroom with over 50 hot tubs on site. If you're ready to relax, Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas is ready to show you how.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your next home, contact our friend Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans. Visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
Working for UPS, came in, dropped off some food for me, Tom, that I had delivered, and he was an avid listener and said to tell you hello.
Well, hello, good sir.
Yeah. Didn't catch his name, felt bad about that. And then get this.
I hope you have a whoop-ass fan in your UPS truck
Oh,
right now,
buddy. Yeah, that's a toughie. And then one of our friends at a longtime sponsor of the show and great collaborator on the show in terms of advertising and our working relationship, Barano Heating and Air Conditioning. One of their employees came out and gave me a new filter for the big garage unit, Tom. And the guy came out, and he too was an avid listener every day as he's running around doing, man, everybody needs their air conditioning now. So that's what he was doing, sweating his ass off, listening to the JCS, though.
Man, if you don't have it now, that's dangerous, legit. So if you need servicing, call Barano right
Get
now.
after it.
580-4029.
You still
Boom.
remember from all the times at the other station where we needed him out at the tower with the wasps and the weeds and the snakes
And the coyotes.
and the 105-degree temperatures and the, hey, Matthew, get in your car and run your ass out there to the
Well, hey, man.
we got to get this fixed.
Yeah. Well, there was about 6 years of it where it was, hey, Tom.
Oh, I know.
nobody's- yeah,
I know. Yeah, this is how it works. Everything goes
This is a
downhill.
buck, and I am passing it.
Yeah,
The buck goes this way.
the way that works. Yeah, just like I passed programming to Matt Millar back in the day when we had to set the whatever you call it, putting in the spots, and I was like, nope, it's gonna be Matthew. I'm not doing that. You sure you don't want to? No, I'm good. I'm the talk show host. You guys put in the commercials. It'll be all right. I'll talk about it, but you guys put them in. Did I notice whether or not, or when Trey Benson's eyes lit up when he was asked about Destin Hill? Young Bleak writes that in the chat. Makes me think he's going to be special this year. You know, I've had this weird feeling. I've brought it up a lot. About him.
We'll pull it up for the Warchant TV audience.
So
if
they
you're
can
in
see
the car, what are you waiting for? I put out the tweet today, which I ISO cam Trey. There's no audio on it. It's just the look. When Destin Hill's name comes up, it tells you the truth about what's been going on, about potential too. Because guys, they're all different shades of supreme athletes, especially the way that Florida State now looks compared to 3 or 4 years ago. But even amongst that crew, we just talked about Carlos Williams. There were dudes that were contemporaries of Carlos Williams on defense or on offense. And when that name was brought up, they go, whew, that guy's different, man.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how quickly he's football ready. It's been 2 years, but it does seem like there are a lot of people very excited about his presence. So I get excited to hear that and see that. Oh, there it is. Let's see it again. Oh, hey now. I like it. Well, let's be honest. So for those in the radio audience or later on,
It's a happier version of
On
the
the
Alonzo
podcast.
Mourning
It is.
animation.
yeah, he gets asked about Destin Hill and his eyes light up. He's like, oh, we're talking about somebody now. Game recognizes game. I'll tell you the quickest way, and you know what the reaction to that is? That's speed. That's speed. What he saw wowed him in terms of speed. They're all big, strong kids. They've been around other big, strong kids. Benson's been here now for well over a year. He's seen a lot of big, strong dudes, and this team's gotten a lot more of them in. So for him to react that way so soon to Destin Hill, not having seen him in pads, not seen him play and practice yet, then that means they were out running and working out, and he went, oh, that's different. That's a different kind of twitch. That's a different kind of explosiveness.
This is why we waited on him, Trey.
Yeah.
That's what the coaches would say.
Well, and we asked that question probably 6 months into not knowing where the hell the dude was, and every day we're asked about it.
Was he Lene Kakua? Was
Yeah.
this ever a thing?
Yeah, we were laughing. We were kind of like, well, and hence he got named the unicorn, and we continued to wait and continued to wait, and then they continued to wait and continued to wait, and then we kept hearing, it's going to happen, it's going to happen, it's going to happen. You just got to wait. It's a family issue. I went, all right. It gets dicey. You don't know what to do. And then we finally said, why would they wait? There are a lot of other good football players out there. Why would they wait? And the hope was that the answer was Trey Benson's response to the question, what do you think about Destin Hill? That the answer was, ooh,
that's different
well,
now.
Yeah, that is fast. We got asked yesterday on Seminole Headlines, and Corey and I were talking about this, and I kind of hinted that it was possible when we were trying to get a yes out of him. But the question was, what if Keon Coleman's our best wide receiver next year? And you think about the possibility of what that does with Johnny Wilson not even being your best receiver. And I thought it's entirely possible. He was at a crap offense with a sorry quarterback, and he's young, and he put up the numbers he did a year ago. It's entirely possible in this offense he will be your best receiver.
Yeah, it's possible. In fact, we just recorded before the show today the number 10 through number 6 in the top 40 video. Keon Coleman, spoiler alert, will be amongst that section, which is really high praise for somebody who hasn't taken a snap in this offense yet. But the hard part for me before the season starts is it's almost like the defensive line conversation. Josh Farmer may well have more tackles for loss than Fabian Lovett by the end of the year. Does that mean that Josh Farmer necessarily is a better defensive tackle right now than Fabian?
Just the productivity, right?
And he'll have one-on-one matchups.
Yeah.
I don't know how to quantify without seeing it on the football field. You could tell me that Keon leads the team in stats. Okay, sure. Or that Jaheim Bell is second on the team in catches.
Sure.
But a defensive coordinator's got to pick their poison, and therefore you're going to have one-on-one matchups. The great thing about this offense, at least in theory, we're going to see it more in practice this year, is it's star player agnostic. You want to go to one-on-ones. It doesn't matter
whoever the defense is trying to take away, you turn, you go to the
Now, there may be a crunch time situation where you want to force the ball somewhere, but that's not really what this offense is about. It's about finding matchups, creating multiple formations so you can have easy reads for your quarterback to say, okay, I love it. You're in one-on-one, I'm going to you. And that could be Jaheim Bell, it could be Keon Coleman, it could be Winston Wright, who knows? But that's going to be the hard part this year is who is your best anything? I don't know. There's so many weapons and it's so balanced.
Go back to the bowl game against Oklahoma. Once we get the offense rolling, and Dan Orlovsky says, and he did a good job in that game, by the way, as a color analyst. He says, as they come to the line of scrimmage during that last drive, Wilson's in singles here. You've got to go. You got to go deep here. I don't care what your play call is. You have to go deep here. We used to have guys like that. That was the deal. You're like, whoa, he's in singles? Throw it up. And I think you're going to hear that a lot in the stands, at home, on your couch, whatever you're watching and wherever you're watching. There's going to be a moment where you're like, oh, well, okay, they're trying to take this away and this away. Well, okay, it's Jaheim Bell. Oh, run the ball. We got numbers. Run the ball. They're dead. You got 2 to block 1. This is over. You could watch this offense be that kind of prolific where you line up and you're like, oh, this is a one-on-one for the slot. Oh, this is a one-on-one. So Vendravius is going to go nuts tonight. There are lots of moments that you're going to recognize those opportunities.
That's why I think in a 12-game slate, let's take garbage time out of it. So you could freeze the stats at halftime or the third quarter because there are going to be some blowouts now this year. Even at that point, before garbage time, I don't know that Johnny or Keon are always going to lead us in production, in receptions and yards and touchdowns. I mean, out of 12 games, I don't think it's a stretch to think that in 5 of those 12 games,
right.
It's either Jaheim or it's Marquiston or it's Vandravius or Winston Wright or, Destin Hill, whoever it's going to be. I'm talking about catches and receiving yards just because of the matchups. You could have a shot play that goes for 65 or 70 yards, and that's Vandravius Jacobs. And he's got 3 catches, 92 yards. Freeze it. Now we're in garbage time. He was your most productive player that day with a touchdown, 92 yards. But it's all because people want to double Johnny. It's all because people want to double Keon or Jaheim Bell. That's what makes this offense so damn fun to think about. And I think that's the way it's going to play out on the field too.
Man, if they we and I could just go back and forth and talk about the endless ways in which you can attack defenses with the personnel that you have this year, given that your quarterback is what he is. So, in worst case scenario, every time they're in man, just roll him out and tell him to take off.
And he is, yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
And also, he's not afraid to give somebody a chance in one-on-ones. There are quarterbacks who are averse to that. They like guys to be open before they throw it. And those are not the guys that you win championships with.
No.
But Jordan, even as he was emerging, even before he put it all together, he loved to go to one-on-ones. I mean, and he will give you a shot down the field. The best throw he had, the first good throw he had, outside the numbers and deep. And we've got a lot of dudes who can win those battles.
That throw he made more consistent than any other throw in his repertoire without question, even when he wasn't a good quarterback yet. He could make that throw. He could drop that, on a dime. He could drop that.
To a Micah Pittman, to a Pokey Wilson, who don't exactly have, the catch radius of a Johnny Wilson.
Yeah, he would just drop that in there nicely, and then he developed the other stuff. All right, well, I lied. I said I was going to get to the NFL stuff. I'll have to do it next. See there? You can't trust me, guys. Cody, I'll get to you. I saw some other questions in here that I want to answer as well. We'll have fun with it. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
The Leon County School Board made a $30,000 investment in school safety at Tuesday night's meeting. The board voted to approve a new contract with an AI gun detection software company called Zero Eyes. The technology can be placed in existing security cameras to detect guns. When a gun is detected, the software takes a picture of the gun and immediately alerts school administrators and law enforcement. The district will be piloting this technology at 5 local high schools this August. The schools include Leon, Lincoln, Childs, Godby, and Rickards. Depending on how the pilot program goes, the district may expand the software to its middle and elementary schools. Large Air Force transport planes soared over Tallahassee during the Tuesday lunch hour. Just one of 50 flyover celebrations planned coast to coast to mark a century of mid-air refueling. The Air Force said modern-day air refueling serves as a force multiplier, increasing the speed, range, lethality, flexibility, and versatility of combat aircraft. The first successful attempt occurred on June 27, 1923 in California. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at McLemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Highs around 98 this afternoon. Under clear skies, northwesterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Clear skies again tonight. Lows level off around 75. High of 99 tomorrow. Mainly clear skies. Temperatures above average Friday and Saturday with highs in the upper 90s. Storms possible both days. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 87.
Someone who thought texting was a better idea than stopping for a traffic light slams into your rear bumper. Now your back is injured and you've got to be at work and rehab all without a car. I'm Dana Brooks of Basic Brooks Law Offices, and we hear stories like this every day. You shouldn't pay for someone else's mistake. Call us at 850-777-7777 and we'll make sure you come back stronger.
My man Eddie.
Jeff, what's happening, dude?
Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the third one in the last month of somebody getting mauled to death by a bear.
Man, bears have their own space.
Well,
you got to let them have that.
You do. You got to stay clear of bears is what you're saying?
Yes.
I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, I don't know, longevity time, a mouse.
Just a slow burn.
Slow little burn.
This thing just finished the pinky. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay. Mouse it is. Gordo's bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
It's
Dan Hicks.
58 days, buddy.
Remember Dan Hicks?
Mm-hmm.
That was a good group of 2 deep at defensive end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't hear Dan Hicks brought up that much, but he's happy to hear you do that.
He was in the rotation more after they left Brandon Jenkins in too long in the opener in 12.
Got hurt.
That was great.
That was a toughie. Against a nobody in a blowout.
Liz Frank injury. Or Liz Frank. Never got that straight.
Messed him up. Me neither, but I never wanted to get it. I had bad feet situations, but, nothing like that.
Jenkins, Von Stryker, Tank Carradine, and Dan Hicks. Man, oh, man.
Golly, you're right. Good old Von Stryker. My man, Von Stryker, who at least always acknowledged it, which I always appreciated. The radio guy or man.
The radio show made the Von Stryker.
Yeah. What is it for Florida State? 50? Is it 67 days? Is that where we're at?
68 or 67, yeah. 67.
It's 67? Oh, man. You're going to try to get me to come up with a number for 67. Who you got for 67? Start pulling up grade 67.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't really remember.
Keith Jones.
67? Yeah, I don't have anybody, guys. You're going to have to forgive me of that. No, I got nobody.
It's a dyslexic Darius Washington.
It doesn't work. I can't think of anybody that was great at Florida State. I know I'm wrong. I know there's somebody that was. Ooh, I have a feeling you're going to be going back to like I don't know, like the 60s or the late 70s, early 80s.
Did Bill Capice wear 67?
He did not. All right, let's go back to this. Enough of this. That's the end of it. So there was a question here about the concerns. Well, let me start with the NFL story because I'll forget to do it again. A handful of NFL players, including Indianapolis Colts cornerback and kick returner Isaiah Rodgers, are expected to be suspended tomorrow is what it's looking like. Some say it could come later today, so we'll be watching this. But I'm wondering how many more names they have. The rumor is that these players will be suspended for the season. And you would have to guess that, yes, that's what they're going to do. It is, if you violate the NFL's policy on gambling, I think you're going to get the book thrown at you. There's no other way to do it. He's part of, is Isaiah Rodgers, a league-wide investigation into violations of that gambling policy, including possible bets placed on Colts games. If that's true, that could be life. Like, you're done.
Well, yes, they threw the book at Calvin Ridley. That came out of nowhere. So this makes these guys' punishments extra ridiculous and stupid because Calvin Ridley was out there for everybody to know. That is a household name. He was a fantasy football stud. You had him in your dynasty league. I didn't. I don't have a dynasty league.
I had him in my
You
fantasy
were
football.
furious.
Yes, I wasn't happy about it.
So it was out there. The warning was out there.
Here are the rules for this is really what I wanted to get to. We'll see. You had, by the way, so you've had Williams suspended. 3 others were suspended. That one sucked, by the way. I hated seeing that. But Jameson Williams for Detroit has been suspended. The Tony kid, the defensive end.
Jameson Williams? Oh, no.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Jameson Williams.
Yes, they do.
That's hurtful.
Yeah, he's not out for the year. He's out for like 6 games, I think I saw. But
Kadarius Toney?
Yeah.
Oh, damn shame.
Oh, no, not the Gator. I don't think it's him.
Oh, okay.
No. I think it's a different Tony. But let's go back to this before I slander somebody else who didn't do it. Here you go. The 6 rules of the gambling policy that the league emphasizes, and every player knows this, and it is highlighted in any number of the meetings that they have and the literature that is sent out to players and coaches and people that work for, front offices, you name it. This is always a big one, and it's pretty easy. Here's number 1, the number 1 rule. Don't bet on the NFL. Now, you could just stop there. All the rest of the rules really don't matter. You can just stop with number 1. Don't bet on the NFL. This is how it reads in the rule book. Don't bet on the NFL. That about sums it up. In case that wasn't abundantly clear, Tom.
What about the playoffs?
The next rule is don't gamble at your team facility while traveling for a road game or staying at a team hotel. Why is that the second rule?
Well, that's for card games. That's what they're talking about, I'm guessing.
I guess.
Which is BS.
I mean, I don't think they're really trying to enforce that. Don't gamble at your team facility while traveling for a road game or staying at a team hotel.
They're talking about charter jet card games.
Man, nobody cares about that. It's the number 1. We're going to always go back to number 1. Don't bet on the NFL. Number 3, you can't have somebody else bet for you on the NFL. That's the same as betting on the NFL. I'm the starting right guard for the Bucks. Tom Lang, will you place this $10,000 on us to cover this weekend?
Yeah, or no.
I didn't bet on it. Tom did.
Yeah, for our opponent to cover.
Right. Number 4, don't share team inside information. That's the one I think they really worry about, and it's really hard to enforce because, man, you're high school friends with a guy that plays in the league. I've got buddies that played in the league. I mean, it's pretty easy. You're having how you doing? Everybody all right? That's starting running back doing this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, 4 or 5 guys I knew from high school played in the league.
Yeah.
Now, I never talked to them post-college.
No, but it would be that. I mean, it's not hard there to just be like, how you guys feeling this weekend? Feeling pretty good about the roadie to Minnesota?
Teddy, you think you're playing this weekend? Because then I would fade the Bucks.
Yeah. Are you having to start, Teddy? Are we that bad off? Number 5, don't enter a sports book during the NFL playing season. So, hey, that's kind of cool. Off season, get after it.
Yeah. Yep.
And number 6, don't play daily fantasy football. So for all the people that, do all the prop bets and all those things like that in the fantasy.
You can play regular fantasy football.
Yeah. You can't play
You just
daily
can't play
fantasy.
DFS.
Yeah. So that's where we're at with that. But I would imagine anybody getting caught doing number 1, betting on the NFL, that's a year with the caveat. If we catch you ever again, you're out of the league forever. And that's the end of that. I mean,
so I wonder what the 6-game suspensions were for. Was it DFS action? Was it
I'm going to guess
walking
either
into a sports book in December? Like, come on.
Yeah, I'm going to guess that's DFS. I mean, it couldn't have been betting on their own team or what. No, I would think that that's daily fantasy. We'll find out tomorrow or by late tonight, depending. But that's a serious thing. And listen, and again, I wonder how frivolously are you wagering on the NFL if you're in the league that you got caught? I mean, come on, that's an easy thing. Like, I'm not saying people would do that or should do that. Think about this. You, me, or even heavy hitters, like real heavy hitters that gamble for a living. It's what they do. They move to Vegas and they are professional gamblers. Okay, some, very few, make a ton of money. Most do not. It is a hard way to make a living. Not saying you can't have good years, but if you're relying on sports gambling to make a living year in and year out, boy, that's tough on the Constitution. That's difficult. If you are a professional football player, a starter in the NFL, you're making, in most cases, 99.9% of the time, a lot more money than anybody who's gambling on the game is going to make. Your annual salary or the length of your contract and the amount of guaranteed money guys are getting today, 20, 30, 40 million if you're a good player. Come on, man. There's no reason for you to do it. What are you going to win $1,000 on your daily fantasy football? What are you doing? It's just stupid. It's not the same as like me having inside information from a guy who then I can turn around and turn that into some sort of like seriously impactful financial gain for me and my family.
Yeah, you're talking about, Joe Blow on the street.
Yeah.
Who makes,
makes $60,000 a year and all of a sudden he makes $30,000 on a bet. Yeah, that's a big damn day at the office.
Yeah.
But for the dude that starts for the Jets, it ain't nothing.
Which is why Uncle Buck was such a hero, because he turned down going to the track, even though it was going to make his year.
All right. So back to this for the questions and the thing about but make you guys feel better about recruiting. I'm not all that worried. I saw Mike. Did you write that? No, Cody wrote it. Jeff, please give me some hope on the recruiting front. I think FSU fans worry if we don't have a good class before the season starts and we start with a loss or two, we'll be back to square one. Well, I don't think we're going back to square one because I think even if they lose both the biggest games that you're referencing, they're going to still go on to win 10. They're not getting back buried at 5-7. They're not about to stumble all over themselves and go 6-6. You got a bigger problem than recruiting. If my man goes out here and goes 6-6, we're going to start talking about whether or not he's a good coach. Because with this group, it'd be hard to do.
Yeah, I would agree with the sentiment that the concerns, and I've said this a million times now, talk about the echo chamber before we get to the July 4th holiday. But if there is no real movement before camp starts, I start to get a little worried. But we got some time now. We got about 5 weeks before camp starts, give or take. But for right now, I wouldn't panic yet. Just plan your barbecue. Enjoy the holiday. And there might be some fireworks around the holiday, and that's great.
I think they're going to get some names come out and say yes to Florida State, verbal commits over the holiday. I don't know that that's going to quell everybody's fear. They feel like we should be recruiting consistently better right now than we are, given the season and the momentum Florida State had and has. But I would say that, and this is, again, back to the repeated conversation that we've had here. Look, I do think there's some guys on here not renowned on the staff that are not renowned for their recruiting prowess. And so we're going to look at them with a jaundiced eye until they prove otherwise. There was a reason we all had Ron Dugans in deep trouble. He was not getting the job done, and it was fair to criticize him. We were at a breaking point with one of our own, whom we loved, and we didn't want to have to fire. But, this ain't about feelings, baby. We're trying to win some games. So either you smoke or get smoked, and if you get to where we have to let you go, then that's what it's going to be. I see that more on the defensive staff than I do the offensive staff. I love Alex. I think Mike's a good recruiter. Ron has turned it around, so we're good, man. We got backs galore. We've got tight ends now. So Chris Thompson's not a dynamic recruiter, but we've got 3 really good tight ends, so I'm going to leave it be. Now, again, defensively, we'll see if Randy can do it. We'll see if Adam can do it. We'll see. Papuch's lost some high-profile battles lately. I still think he's a good recruiter. We'll see.
Lamont Green was not nothing.
So, yeah, but I need somebody who looks a little bit more ready to play. But, look, there's reason to keep 2 fingers to my eyes, 2 fingers back to you with those guys. I'm doing the same. I'm not losing sleep over it right now, but I am doing the same. I'm like, okay, guys.
Well, the other thing is, look, the season is going to recruit for you, whether or not you're a stone cold killer or not. There's the new car smell, and we never got that.
No.
So you can benefit from being the new coach in town, and you're setting a new standard, and that's all fun, and it sounds sexy, and that may want to make you from a high school come to Florida State. We didn't get the benefit of doing that. But once you're established as a coach, I mean, you still need to win if you're at Georgia or you're at Alabama or Ohio State in order to maintain classes that are where they are, which is top 3, top 5 annually. Let's let the season do a little recruiting for us too. It's not illegal to let that happen. They're getting better. We have tails, individuals on staff, namely Ron Dugans, of turnarounds. Once it's proven, then it gets contagious. So I think the season can do something for us, but we do need to see something in the next 5 weeks, and we're gonna see something before camp starts. I know we are.
Well, we will. Will it be enough? And I don't know what that threshold is. Is it the 7th ranked class in the country? Is it the 5th ranked? Is it the 9th ranked? I think it's always about meeting needs. I mean, you get some guys that you really need. Defensive end, linebacker,
depends on the fans' mood that day or whether or not they're optimistic or pessimistic by nature too. I think that's part of it.
Yeah, it is. But winning certainly solves most problems. And again, you can get a yes right now. Doesn't do you any good unless you get them signed on the line, which is dotted. Hour number 2 forthcoming. Stay with. Fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. My man, Eddie.
Jeff, what's happening, dude?
Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the 3rd one in the last month of somebody getting mauled to death by a bear.
Man, bears have their own space. You got to let them have that.
You do. You got to stay clear of bears, is what you're saying?
Yes.
I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, longevity time, a mouse.
Just a slow burn.
Slow burn.
This thing just finished the pinky. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay. Mouse it is. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
In 1945, Jack Whitting started a glass company in Tallahassee. Now, over 70 years and 3 generations later, it's still working every day, doing just as Jack wanted, giving his customers real solutions for replacing window glass, providing custom-cut mirrors, and supplying superior bath and shower enclosures. Local building contractors know Whitting Glass takes care of Tallahassee business. They prefer Whitting because of their precision and mastery of eye-catching storefront glass and countertop glass. It's a fact. When you choose Whitting Glass, you're working with real glass people who will take care of you to your complete satisfaction. It's what Jack Whitting wanted, and it's been the Whitting way of doing business for over 70 years. Whitting Glass, Tallahassee's first family in glass since 1945. Call Whitting Glass today or visit them online, 850-222-5781 or whittingglass.com.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3 WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee.
The latest betting odds and live movements from Vegas. This is your action update. Now here are your latest lines from our guys in the desert.
Braves win their fourth straight with a 6-2 win over the Minnesota Twins yesterday. They're $1.60 favorite today with Kobe Albert on the mound against Kenta Maeda and the Twins plus 150, 10 over at Truist Park this afternoon. Arizona with an 8-4 win over the Tampa Bay Rays yesterday. Today, it's Arizona plus 145 at home against the Rays. Zach Eflin for Tampa Bay. He's another $55 road favorite. Eflin 9-3, a 3.35 ERA. The total is 9, shaded to the over. Tony Finau 12-1 with the Rocket Mortgage Classic at the Detroit Golf Club this week. Ricky Fowler 14-1. Sign up now for your free VSiN subscription at vsin.com/subscribe. For more sports betting news and information, go to vsin.com. Mike Sennett, Real Talk 93.3.
Macy's 4th of July sale has great deals on everything you need to get you, your crew, and your space ready. Get 50 to 60% off swimwear for all and 30 to 60% off bedding and bath essentials. Plus, take 40 to 50% off almost all sandals now during the great sandals sale. Macy's Star Rewards members can earn rewards even faster during Star Money bonus days. See Macy's.com/Star Rewards. Savings off regular sale and clearance prices. Exclusions apply.
Hey, it's me, Ruthie from Total Wine & More. You know how stores have been raising their prices lately? Well, lean into your speaker a little closer because I've got a big secret to share. Total Wine is actually lowering our prices on hundreds of wines. I know, right? And even better, our new lower prices on hundreds of wines are here to stay. But listen, don't thank me. At Total Wine, we love helping our customers save big. With the lowest prices for over 30 years, you'll always find what you love and love what you find. Only at Total Wine & More. Drink responsibly, be 21.
Discover the tastes of Peru at Café de Martín and El Bar, a one-of-a-kind culinary and cocktail concept created by classically trained chef Martín Araujo. Con amor y pasión, with love and passion, Café de Martín is a fine Peruvian dining experience in an approachable, comfortable, cultural-rich space built for creating memories to last a lifetime. Enjoy happy hour daily with a full bar, handcrafted cocktails, beers on draft and bottle, paired with a selection of Peruvian tapas like crispy fried yuca with house-made huancaína sauce, carefully selected charcuterie boards, a selection of fresh ceviches, and so much more. It's Café de Martín and El Bar. Escape to Peru, a country of great culture, beauty, and food right here in the capital city. Café de Martín and El Bar on Capitol Circle Northeast in the Esposito Shopping Center. Open daily for lunch, happy hour, and dinner. Online at cafedemartin.com.
Someone who thought texting was a better idea than stopping for a traffic light slams into your rear bumper. Now your back is injured and you've got to be at work and rehab all without a car. I'm Jimmy Fasig at Fasig Brooks. We hear stories like this every day. You shouldn't pay for someone else's mistake. Call us at 850-777-7777 and we'll make sure you come back stronger.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let me answer Rick here. He says, BS, Jeff. Out of all the coaches, y'all used Ron as the scapegoat. Would you have let your son sign with FSU 2 years ago? Hell no. I don't know if I would have or wouldn't have, depending on how good he was. But certainly it's not true that we used Ron as a scapegoat. I seem to remember lobbying to get rid of a certain secondary coach successfully, finally. I won that one over. And I also remember noting any number of guys that I've been concerned about, but the staff itself is pretty solid. Not an elite recruiting group, but lest we forget, regardless of the way you view that, a couple of years ago, Florida State had the worst receiving core in the ACC. I don't know what to tell you. They were awful.
Can I just say, rather than a staircase, I would like an scapegoat. I would like one of those. I know that's not what
instead
Rick
of a
intended,
scapegoat, yeah.
But I think an scapegoat would be a really cool goat. Like, you need to get out of here? The goat's got you. He's the scapegoat.
I'm glad Ron's turned it around, though. I know that.
Yeah.
We were worried about it. We expressed that several times, saying that sucks. You don't want to fire a guy who's beloved and who was a really good player and is a Knoll and all that.
Yeah, you saw this weekend amongst the official visitors was Elijah Moore, kid from the DMV area. Was if you looked at On3's recruiting prediction machine, the old RPM, it had Ohio State at 95+%, and now Florida State has completely flipped that. Now we're in the 90+ percentile. If that kid is half as talented as he is affable, because he's got the size and the profile.
Oh, yeah.
The measurables are there. But in terms of the interviews from this weekend, Elijah Moore, okay. That is a guy that you want in your receiver room.
Yeah. It's fun. There are certain guys you root for because of that, right? One of the things, though, that I have thought from the get-go, given Mike Norvell's background, like, listen, you should always, it doesn't look good on Mike if the receivers aren't good. So regardless of, and I think everybody was frustrated. Everybody on that staff was frustrated by that situation.
Ron didn't get a raise that last year.
No, they spoke for themselves.
Everybody got a raise.
That's right. He did not get a raise. So obviously there were concerns about what wasn't happening. Now, regardless, it's gotten flipped, and we celebrate the hell of that, the hell out of that. You can go. I'm currently a little concerned about the defensive coordinator, Adam Fuller. I've said that repeatedly. I'm rooting for him. I want him to get it turned around. I'd like to see him recruit at a really high level. I'd like to see a connection between he and kids. Ultimately, you want your offensive coordinator, your defense coordinator to be really good recruiters if you can, obviously, because they're coordinating the entirety of a group, right? So, but short of that, if you just have an elite X's and O's guy, then you better have the next guy down on that staff or that, have an elite guy as a segment group. They don't necessarily have that. So you do worry about it.
Yeah, I like it to be sort of, it's like an inverse ratio. The more specialized you are as a position coach, the more specialty you should have in recruiting, the more skin in the game you should have and connections you should have. Because a coordinator can't spend as much time on the trail going across different segments of the country, in order to make sure that each individual kid is up to speed and ready to go. But the position coach, the area recruiters can, so if you're a running backs coach or a defensive backs coach, or you get what I mean, as you climb up that ladder, it's great to have a good recruiter as a head coach, 100%.
Oh, yeah. He's a huge asset. Yeah.
You can't spend as much time. The more responsibility you have, the less time you could spend with kids. So I'm okay with a coordinator being less of a badass on the trail. Like Mark Stoops was okay. He wasn't bad, but Eddie Grand was way better, and DJ Elliott was way better, and James Coley in that Jimbo 1.0 staff, and they made it all work. And
the funny part about that, and the funny part about that, a guy like Coley, we didn't think much of as a coach, and it never felt like Jimbo did either. He was only around because he could recruit. That was why he was there. Some guys are kind of known as that. If you're not that, you better be able to coach your ass off, and you better see real improvement from players. So if you're an average player and you improve greatly because of what it is you're being taught, then that shines on that coach. Everybody can see that. It doesn't take much if you bring in a bunch of 6'5" kids run 4.4. You're gonna look great, but it's harder to tell your coaching acumen at that point because you've got the talent to do that. Where we really notice coaching is when people do more with less. Now, I will tell you, if you are a running backs coach, well, you damn well better be a good recruiter because you're not really doing a thing. Every really good running back arrived at the place that they went on to be a really good running back for with the ability to run. They were all really good. Like Jimbo and them weren't teaching Dalvin a damn thing.
They're teaching him how to sit on the bench for Mario Pender.
See? I mean, that's ridiculous, right? Like those guys.
That was Eddie Gran in the beginning, and Eddie was a killer. Oh, my goodness.
But, I mean, that's most running backs, most elite running backs, they're coming to you with a little something, something. You're not like, you know what? I really think you're going to go to have a 1,000-yard season here. I'm going to unlock it right here. Watch what I do with my foot. No, man. That's not happening.
You can develop guys.
Dude can run. You can teach guys to be more patient, and you can teach them how to run within the scheme. You can tell them that you can't bounce everything outside like you did in high school. You can do all of those things. But, man, if you're a badass running back, you were a badass running back when you got here. You might have had to be pointed in the right direction a couple of times. But other than that, that dude is there to be a recruiter.
This is forever ago now. But, the more I cover college football, the more absurd this is. And it felt it that way. But the first time I interviewed, and it was the whole media, it was Lonnie Pryor.
That's my guy.
We were talking about how when Jimbo took over as the head coach, what's different now? And he says, well, the important thing is now we have meetings where we coordinate with the offensive line coach. So we know what the blocking scheme in front of us is. So we know where to run. And the whole room was silent.
Oh, it was devastating.
Wait a minute. So
that hasn't been going on?
As running backs, did not know what was going on in front of you? The way the play was designed? Where your eyes were supposed to be? You didn't know any of that. Dear God, now I know why we were a 6-loss team or a 5-loss team perennially.
Yeah, and that was so frustrating. And when you're at practice and you're watching things like that and you're thinking to yourself, I mean, this can't be real. This can't, players know that. Players know what. And more importantly, the other coaches and staff members know when things are broken like that. We've heard from that. We've heard people on the inside, let's put it that way, when things were broken, talk about how frustrating it was. Because if you're, I'm using the example as a running backs coach, but it could be anybody. It could be a defensive ends coach, a wide receiver coach, whatever. You're not the head coach. And you're watching the head coach do something that isn't resonating, isn't helping, you got to be careful. What can you really do? I mean, you're just going to go rogue and decide to do something completely different from what they want you to do? You can't. It's frustrating. One thing's for sure. There are recruiters that are known as such. They are elite, and they can recruit their ass up, and they do from day one. No matter what, they go to a program. That program is in shambles. They whatever segment group you want to talk about is a mess that they coach, and they get there and they get guys. And the people who cover recruiting will be like, oh yeah, well, so-and-so is an assassin. This guy is an incredible recruiter. So-and-so is famous for this. He's going to get that group turned around. And then there are people who, like we said, are really much more known for their expertise, their ability to coach it, to teach it, and get kids to translate that. But what has to happen for them to be good in recruiting is for all of that to add up to a good season. I mean, the team eventually to get really elite classes, you're going to need to be good. You can have one-offs. You can have surprises. There are every year there's a surprise where you're like, oh, how the hell are they at the 9th ranked class? Yeah, I mean, it happens. And it's changing all the time with NIL. I understand that too. But for the most part, any sustained level of excellence or the ability to flip anything is because something happens on the field in which people can buy into the vision.
Yeah.
People can see the big picture.
Dudes are getting churned out and making money.
Ultimately, and I do think this is fair. So let's bring it back. Rick, I'll readdress the Ron Dugans thing. Let's bring it back to this. Ultimately, I do think any recruiting failure, all right, here you go. I'll put it out there for you. Any recruiting failure, whether that is on the offensive side, the defensive side, we could sit here and talk about individual coaches all we want. It comes back to the head coach. If you're not getting good enough players to win football games, it's on you. It's on you. You have to decide, is it something you're not doing? Is it something he's not doing? Is it something that you can do better in? Can you go out and get somebody to help here? Or do you need to just replace this guy? Do you need to put your 2 cents in this situation? Whatever it is. Ultimately, the head coach needs to be the best recruiter. He has to be the difference maker. Now, there are head coaches that you say, well, wait a minute, Jeff. There are plenty of head coaches that are dry, that aren't elite recruiters. No, man, they're in charge of the program. They handpick the people to come in and work for them. They know who they are. If they have self-awareness, they know whether or not they're dynamic on the recruiting trail or not. And if they know that they're not, they better bring in some people that are. Right? Okay, so, and if they don't, and those guys fail to get you players, that's on you. You screwed it up, man. Either you got to be better or they needed to be better, and you made a poor choice. It will always come back to the head coach. So any good or bad recruiting class ultimately is a reflection on the head coach. That's just the way it always works.
Yeah, because, again, let's just say that this, and I'll put on the pessimist cap for a minute. I haven't very much. But let's say this recruiting class, this cycle was not good. We don't like it. We're not happy with it. You're not going to point fingers anywhere but at Mike first, and then you're going to say, make the change, coach, because I like you and you get so much of it right. But it's the call for a change. It's not that you're blaming a position coach. You're saying, Mike, you may need to make an alteration.
You're saying this
of the
guy's
plan.
not bringing in good enough players for us to win
But
at
it's
the
on you
level
to
that we expect. Yeah, you have to make that change.
Don't go down with the ship here.
Jimbo looking at his offensive line coach forever not bringing in people and deciding to stick by him. At some point, it wasn't Rick. It's you, Jimbo.
There it is. Yep.
That was we sat here and talked about it all the time. Like, there would be days where I'd come in and say, Rick Trick is not getting it done with the offensive line. We are not getting it. Is he a good coach? Yes. Everybody knows Rick Trick can coach. Everybody knows that. Can he coach an offense? Yes, he can coach. We're not getting good players. Okay, so at first I come in and I say, all right, man, Rick, we got to do better. I'm ripping Rick. Maybe I rip Rick for a year, 2 years. At some point, I just said, Jimbo, what are we doing? What are we doing? You can't bring yourself to fire that guy? Well, then screw you, because we don't have good enough players and we're going to lose games.
Which is why he brought him to Texas A&M with him.
Which he didn't.
No, which he did not.
And that goes for several guys where you're like, oh, you're not going to bring any of these guys with you, huh? I thought they were awesome coaches. I thought you took offense when we all questioned why it was certain people still had jobs on this staff. You ran to their, to their side to tell everybody they were great coaches. Then when you went to go somewhere else, you didn't bring them.
With unlimited resources.
Yeah.
You would think you'd give those guys raises as you brought them on the jet with you. I can't wait to pay you like you should have been paid. Florida State's poor as hell. I'm going to pay you. But none of them were on the jet, were they?
None of them made the trip. No. There were a couple. But listen, I'll get back to what I think is going to happen this year. Florida State's going to be a very good football team. A lot of this will be resolved because of that fact. Where we begin to go over it with a fine-tooth comb, the conversation changes. We know that. It's all relative to your expectations and what you think should happen based on the talent you have. I think Florida State should be, and most of us, I think, in Florida State land agree with this, a very, very good football team. They should be no worse than 10-2 in the regular season. Unfortunately, let's be honest about it. If they go 10-2 and their 2 losses are to LSU and Clemson, then you're going to, despite a 10-2 regular season, say, man, you only played 2 really good teams and you lost to both of them.
Yeah, it's a B- at best for the season.
The reality is, when you're good and you have some good teams on your schedule, you're going to have to win some of those games for the program to take the next step and to be elevated in the minds of the fans, that you're, prove you're an elite coach. You go from, can this guy get this turned around where we're winning some football games, to, all right, can this guy get this turned around to where we can compete for the conference title, to, can we win a national championship? You're always answering questions as a head coach. And you know what? When you win a national championship, there are more questions to be asked and answered. Nobody who wins at an elite level runs from any of that. They expect to win. They believe in what they're doing. They work as hard as you could possibly work to that end. And then they reach the top of the mountain and they win a championship. And then they're going to try to do it again, because you know what? That's the ultimate reward. That's the ultimate prize for all that hard work and all that dedication and all that acumen and all the time you spent when you were a GA all the way through to get to that place. Hopefully the fire's still in your belly when you win one. For most of these guys, it is, right? Especially if they're young. Maybe you're 68 years old, maybe it's a little bit different, unless you're Nick Saban. But for most people, you are. And you get through all that and you win and you're like, this is where it's at. Now that's a new set of challenges. There's only one place to go when you're at the top, and it's down. And everybody wants what you have. Everybody's gunning for you. And every Saturday you get everybody's best shot. It's their Super Bowl. All the cliches are true. All those things are real.
Which is something that's going to happen to Florida State more this year.
Yeah, it hasn't happened to Florida State in a long time.
Yeah.
But it's okay to ask those questions of those coaches and to be constantly assessing that. That's not like unappreciative. That's not spoiled. That's the reality. When somebody gets paid $8 million, they're held accountable. When people got mad at me when I was beginning to criticize Bobby Bowden, when the evidence was that this was beginning to decline, at some point I said, listen, guys, it may sound personal. It's not. I'm young and I'm adamant and I want to see us win. But he's not a volunteer. So this is not attacking some guy who's volunteering his time. He made millions of dollars. That's fast forward to where we are now, where these coaches are getting paid $7, $8, $9, $10, $11, $12 million. You're an Alabama fan. Nick Saban has won more than anybody has a right to. It's insane what they've won. Alabama, when you and I are old and gray, I doubt we're going to see a run like this. And we're going to be like, man, ain't nobody was like Nick Saban. Good God, that sumbitch won every year. And if he didn't, it was like they were 11-1 or 10-2.
I don't know that I'm going to live to see a time again at this point where Alabama and Ohio State are both bad.
It just every year they're the standard, right? Yep. It's very frustrating. Yep. It's very frustrating. And the point is, Alabama fans think that last year was disappointing. Couldn't get stops. They were embarrassed by their defense.
That's correct.
You got the damn best quarterback in the draft, or certainly one of, and here we are.
2 losses, and you're a couple of plays away from 4. That's not crazy to say. You're a couple of plays away from 4 losses. If Texas quarterback doesn't go down early in the season, early in that game, they were going to throw for 350, 400 yards.
Yeah. So this is, but it's a fun thing. I think you have to enter into all of that. Like if you're Kirby Smart right now, look, man, he's won back-to-back national championships. Nobody in college football has won back-to-back national championships. So he's trying to do something that's never been done. And the odds suggest they're not going to. They might, but the odds suggest that they're not going to win the national championship this year. And when they don't, will people be mad? No. But you know what it will be? Disappointing. It'll be disappointing. You're used to winning the national championship. Now you didn't. That's a little disappointing. Not something you dwell on. Go ahead and don't win it again the following year.
Right.
Go ahead and don't win it again the following year. Every year further removed we get from the last one is a year in which, no, you're not unfairly persecuted for these expectations, but rather the question is being asked, can you sustain excellence? Can you ever be great again? Or did you catch lightning in a bottle and now the fire is gone and we need to move on or think about it? That's how quick it happens.
Yeah. What are instances that when the season is over, you stand and you cheer as the clock hits 000? It's the climb up.
Yes.
When the season's
it's when
over.
A team surpasses expectations.
Yep.
Yes.
It's when you win a championship. And then honestly, as long as you don't fall flat on your face, it's the next year after a championship when the season's over. Even if you don't win it, all right, boys, that's a great defense. It was a great effort to defend the title. Good stuff. But beyond those 3 circumstances,
it doesn't happen often.
It doesn't happen.
No.
Now, we've had one of those under Mike, which is surpassing expectations. You beat Oklahoma in the bowl game. Okay. Now, this year,
it's a very different feeling.
You got to make the playoff before you can get there.
I think Mike loves this. I don't think this is, for everybody listening, I don't think that Mike Norvell is sitting around worried that we have these huge expectations or that Florida State is being written about as a top 10 team, top 5 team in many publications. I don't think he's worried or his staff is worried or the players are worried in any way about the heightened expectations of a fan base that is starved for a conference championship at the very least. No, he shouldn't be. He ought to be like, yes, I wanted this when we were sucking. I wanted this when we won 3 games. I wanted this when we won 5 games. I was really getting concerned I wasn't going to get the chance to get to this place where the expectations could be this high.
Oh, he's ready for it. Just look at the difference. We have such a great example in our history as Florida State fans. 13 and 14. It's the difference between being hungry and fat and spoiled. 13, you're hungry. 14, you are fat and spoiled. And you could see the difference from the word go.
And they still went 12-0.
And that's how talented they were.
That's
Even
right.
when they were
That's
fat
right.
and they were spoiled.
It's so hard in college, man. It's hard in the NFL, too. I mean, I think sometimes when you watch these teams that win a Super Bowl and then they come back and go on a deep run, let's say, and very seldom do you ever see somebody go back to the Super Bowl. Sometimes they do, though. Obviously, we've seen that. You still see a lethargy. You still see, like, in the first 8 games of the season, because in the NFL, you can lose 4 of them. It doesn't really matter. You can win the Super Bowl as a wild card. So, and you can win on the road. People win on the road all the time now. It's not a big deal to go win on the road. So they'll go through the motions, camp. They're just kind of getting their body back. It's tough. They played more games than anybody else did last year, save for one team. So you end up sort of watching teams go through it. The light back-to-back Stanley Cup finals, and you win 2 of them. Man, it's not shocking. You're playing a little slow the following year.
Yeah. Just get us to the playoffs is the message instead of, we want to.
Yeah, we kind of need to win this one tonight, guys, because we're slipping. We've lost 5 straight. We're falling in the standings. Let's go get this one.
And that's going to happen here soon in college football as the playoff expands.
Yes,
you're going
to
see
12 teams, yes.
To a degree, it already can. If you're in the SEC or you're Ohio State, you get a freebie before the season starts. You just do. Yeah. So if Georgia lost to Mizzou, it wouldn't have been the end of the world. Oh, no, Georgia's not going to the playoff. That wouldn't have been the story. It would have been massive upset.
That'd have been a tough loss. They
don't have any strikes left, would be the talking point, but they're not out of it.
No, they're not out of it. Yep.
Now, if we lost to the equivalent of Mizzou this year, I don't know. That might be it.
Yes.
You would have to have beaten Clemson and LSU.
Yeah. And we don't know, for example, we just don't know if, how good is Miami going to be this year? We think they're going to be bad. Do they have personnel to be better than we think they'll be? Yeah. I mean, they're not devoid of talent.
No,
it's a
they've
weak
got more in the
league.
trenches, I think, than Florida does because of what Florida lost year over year.
Yeah, so, I mean, we'll see. Maybe they'll be better than we expect them to be. Now, they have to play up here, and I'd like to think we're going to go ahead and take care of business. But, Florida, we play on the road. And if they happen to be better than we expect, listen, that team last year came in here, and it wasn't just that, unfortunately, we got the good Anthony Richardson. They also ran the ball down our throat. They did anything they wanted on the ground.
Yep.
Go look at those rushing numbers. They pushed us all over the field. It was humiliating.
They reset the line of scrimmage.
Over and over and over again.
Over
if Jordan
and over.
hadn't been superhuman in the second half, we lose.
They won both trenches, actually.
Yeah, they did. They did. I don't know how we won the damn game. It's crazy.
One man.
One guy. Just running around crazy, making plays.
Which is amazing because now you've surrounded him with all these other things.
Right. So you shouldn't have to do it that way this year. You are better in the trenches this year, both sides of the line of scrimmage than you were. But my point would be there's always a surprise team. We say that every year. There's always a team that you don't really know. Hey, look, Elko's got Duke playing. If you just don't pay attention to them because you're thinking of all these other games, and they come in and they play physical and smart, and all of a sudden it's a game in the fourth quarter, all the pressure's on you.
Yeah, I don't know how you don't pay attention to Duke because the surrounding games are 2 weeks prior bye week. Virginia Tech precedes them, and then Syracuse after them. I mean,
I'm not saying it's going to happen.
No,
but you know the point I'm making.
I know the point you're making.
They won 9 games.
If you're looking at a 4-week stretch, who has your attention? It's got to be Duke, which is wild to say.
It is.
Ever about football.
But it's there'll be a surprise team. It could be Pitt. I don't know how surprising that would be. They've been a good program. They could be good. And then, the rivalry games are the rivalry games. I know we took care of business in Miami, 45-3. I doubt it looks like that this year, but I don't know. We'll see. I mean, that's late enough in the year that maybe they will have quit.
Your degree of difficulty should be 1-2, and we both know the teams. They both call their homes Death Valley.
Mm-hmm.
That should be about as unsurprising as the deliciousness of a Zaxby's chicken sandwich.
Tom looked up and was like, man, we've been talking for 30 minutes, Cameron. Can you please tell everybody how delicious Zaxby's is? I can. It's delicious. You should ponder all the many questions we just asked and attempted to answer over a thick-ass Zaxby's chicken sandwich.
What did the 5 fingers say to the plate? Zax.
Split-top bun, thick-cut pickles, spicy Zax sauce, and then get you a platter on your way out the door so you can feed the family.
Try the Torchy.
You're big on the Torchy, aren't you? I haven't tried the Torchy.
I like the Torchy.
It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
A cup of joe, Java, brew, go-go beans, brain water, liquid lightning, wakey juice, whatever you call your cup of coffee, you're missing out if it's not Grassroots Coffee. At grassrootscoffee.com, you'll find an easy way to order the best roasted coffee beans available. It's very simple. Choose the blend you want and how you want it ground, and the bag you receive will have the date your beans were roasted and packaged on it, all written by hand and signed by the roast master himself. You'll know that's as fresh as it gets. You can get Grassroots outside of your house also at some of your favorite restaurants in town. Next time you're out to eat, try asking for Grassroots Coffee by name, because there's a good chance they will have it for you. And if you own a business, Grassroots Coffee has options to stock your break rooms with all the productivity powder your team needs. Plus, like some other options that you'll find at work, Grassroots Coffee actually is a part of our community. Hit grassrootscoffee.com today and get yourself a treat. Some locally owned, locally roasted, and locally loved Grassroots Coffee.
Hey, this is your stomach speaking. It's time to eat again. We met deadlines and closed out the workday like a boss. The last thing you want to do is cook dinner. Even worse, pick up any fast food garbage. We need something good, something local. We need foodiestakeout.com. An all-star lineup of local spots like Smitty's Tap House, El Jalisco, Terry's Cafe, Hangar 38, Metro Deli, and more. It's so easy. Just choose pickup or delivery, and let's eat the good stuff. I'm growling already. Visit foodiestakeout.com.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. The 4th of July is an important holiday for all Americans. For some husbands, however, in troubled marriages, holidays are marked more by hardship than harmony. If you're such a guy and considering divorce, know all your options. We advise, we advocate, and when necessary, we litigate.
Lisa Cargis, Florida resident partner. Joseph Cordell, licensed in Missouri and Illinois only. 904-323-0000. 1 Independent Drive, Suite 2200, Jacksonville, Florida, 32202. CordellCordell.com.
Hey, this is Dr. Ryan Finn at Finn Chiropractic. If you have a pain in the neck, bring them to Finn Chiropractic, because neck pain, low back pain, headaches, numbness, and tingling can make your significant other or family member very irritable.
This is Dr. Shannon Lord. We developed the Phenomenal Health Exam to get to the cause of your problem. You can schedule your appointment at finnchiro.com. FENNCHIRO.com.
Whether the pain is in your neck or someone else's, come to Finn Chiropractic.
Because your chiropractor loves you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Vet before I tackle. I can't go down this road if it's not true. I want to make sure that it's accurate before I ever, and even then I got to think how I'm going to do it. I can find a way. But I just laughed that enough people or a few people thought, Cameron will love this. It has to do with an orangutan. And that's all I'll say. And I will. I see Director Matthew laughing at this.
Oh, no. Oh, no. I don't know, man.
I'm going to read. I'm going to do some research.
Yeah. I don't know.
Let's find out. Let's find out.
No, sir.
That's tough. If that's true. Whew.
No, man. We are not touching that one.
Well, not yet. It's still 2-0 between the Braves and the Twins.
There we go.
That's in the 8th.
First time I said there we go with the Braves leading in my life.
Yeah, but I just thought immediately it was less me laughing about that and more me laughing about somebody going, Cameron's going to love this. Let me send this to him. There have been a few lately that I'm like, oh, I wish I hadn't asked. I wish I didn't, I didn't have an expertise in this topic. People are sending me things that I don't like. Remember yesterday, or maybe it was the day before, when we were talking about the evidence of the money and what it's done for the SEC and the Big Ten and how you can't afford, the reason that we wring our hands all the time and have the tired conversation about how soon we're going to be able to get out of here or not. Well, I read something. It's not that I didn't know it, but sometimes you just need to see it in print. You just need to look at it and kind of, you're thinking, man, I was bringing up, I think on headlines, that a different SEC team has won the national championship in baseball each of the last 5 years. So it's not just that the SEC won the title again this year. It's that it's been a different SEC team 5 years in a row. If you want an example of depth and dominance, just have 5 different bitches in your conference win the title. That's insane. I mean, imagine in football, if Florida State won it, then Clemson won it, then Miami. Well, we don't want to do that, but North Carolina won it, followed by Florida State. I know 5 different. So we got to go. Louisville somehow won it, and then whoever I didn't say. Wake wins it. Yeah, which is not going to happen. I mean, but that's just insane, right? The whole rest of the country would be like, what is going? This is ridiculous. Every year, another ACC team, right? But because it's baseball, we're just like, well, whatever. We're not exactly like, well, whatever, but it is frustrating.
Well, look, man, we're just trying to fix the damn Wi-Fi around the stadium. That's what we're trying to do first, okay?
Yeah.
Can we fix the Wi-Fi on a game day? Can we do it? It cannot be $10 million. Can't be.
Yeah. We got to get it fixed. I agree with you. But
sweet God, I would rather have that for the fans. Now, we should have a vote. Which would you have them fix first? The ridiculous mosh pits of death that you've got to navigate to get in the stadium, or the Wi-Fi? What would you want fixed first? Because come on, man, that can't be SEC money expensive versus what we have. Can't be.
I don't ever worry about the Wi-Fi all that much. Now, I'm in a situation where I'm often in the press box, or, I'm not sitting in the stands trying to check my gambling results. Like if I were, that'd be frustrating.
Oh, well, you've got a 4.5-minute TV timeout for the 6th replay. Maybe you could watch another game while you're waiting.
But on the heels of my SEC discussion with baseball, it'll have been 5 years since Clemson beat Alabama to close the 2018 season. Since then, 3 different SEC schools have claimed 4 national titles.
What is this, the Trey Benson look?
Women's hoops, 2 of the last 3, SEC. South Carolina took down UConn, and LSU beat, was it Iowa?
Sounds right.
I think that's a Caitlin Clark team that everybody talked about. I think that was it, right?
Yeah, probably.
So basically, if you want to do this, you want to say, since 2020 started, Alabama, Mississippi State, Georgia football. I'm going Alabama football, Mississippi State baseball, Georgia football, South Carolina women's basketball, Ole Miss baseball, Georgia football, LSU women's basketball, LSU baseball. That's from 2020 to 2023. It's impossible not to go, okay, this is not good. Mash the red button. We got to go. You have very rare exceptions. Pac-12 2021 women's basketball, Stanford. UConn in the Big East wins in basketball. And, of course, basketball is the one sport the SEC hasn't been able to corner and dominate because of Kansas. Or something, you know what I mean? So when I went down the list and just started 2020, 2021, that's SEC, SEC. I'm like, man, these are the revenue sports, the football, the baseball, the basketball. It's not cool.
It keeps on churning.
And it's only going to get worse. So I guess why I bring this up is not to depress you, but rather to say it's not just that we expect you to have a great season this year. You have to. You have to be good. You have to remain relevant and elite. You have to be good. And it can't just be this year. You got to be great again the following year. Everybody thinks we're going to take this huge leap backwards. We're going to take this huge step backwards in 2024. Nope, can't do it. Better go get some kids. Can't do it. Got to stay way up here. You got to kick the door down. You got to get out. You got to force your hand.
Only then will the Wi-Fi be repaired. Well, the James B in the chat says by 2025. Great, 15 years late. Now, it's not Michael Alford's problem that it took this long, but I recall going and covering the Sean Powell game. That was 2011. 2011.
The Sean Powell game is the best.
We got there, and I said, what is this Wi-Fi? This is unbelievable. I was in my 20s. Come on, folks.
Yeah, no.
It shouldn't be. Why does it need to take till 2025 to fix Wi-Fi?
There's lots of things to scream about. I was just focusing on the need to once again get out of this conference, but I will say,
can't get out of the conference until you fix the Wi-Fi. Like the paint on the scoreboard.
Well,
you fixed the paint.
I did. It's about due for a new coat.
It sure is.
I mean, good God, doesn't last long. Paint must suck. I swear to God, people paint something within a year, you got to paint it again. What kind of paint are we making out here? Let's go. I thought that the other day when we were over there. I was like, what are we doing with this? This is ridiculous.
Can't have lead in it anymore. You know, the good old days.
You got to get to the toxic paint back again where we can have something that lasts.
It lasts 15 years.
Let's go.
When people are too scared.
I'm going to walk into Lowe's and be like, I'll take a can of that sorry-ass paint. I know by definition it is. I'll see you again a year from now.
You know, the paint people are like the iPhone people, aren't they?
No.
These things are designed to break in a couple of years.
It's washers and dryers, man. It's the same thing. It's washers and dryers. Planned obsolescence. That's what that's called. That's what they do. Refrigerators. You're wearing it. That's what you get.
Life wallet. You know?
No, Dad, we're using Mountain West paint. We need some SEC caliber paint. Yeah, we do. I was thinking of an Isbell song. It's actually Drive By Trucker song.
So a Scapegoat, somebody said, is a good band name. The Washers and Dryers is also an excellent. Washers and Dryers.
Broken. That's the name of the first record.
Spin Cycle.
We're Washers and Dryers is off our first record, Broken. That'd be great. Frustrating. It's not as frustrating as feeling like there's a good chance you're going to die waiting to get into the stadium.
I'm Ron Kenmore. This is LG Whirlpool, and we are Washers and Dryers.
There's nothing worse than standing in that line for 40 minutes. Drunken debauchery, shoulder to shoulder, nobody can move. And you're thinking, okay, it takes one lunatic and we are fish in a barrel. Can't move. And why? No other stadium that I go to is it this hard to get into the GD game.
What do y'all want to hear tonight? Tumble dry low. Tumble dry low.
We weren't going to play that one. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
Jackson County Sheriff's Office is investigating after a shooting took place Friday night, leaving one person dead. Around 6:30 p.m. Friday, JCSO says deputies responded to Little Zion Road just outside of Sneads after receiving reports that a shooting had just taken place at a home. Upon arrival, one person was found dead. No arrests have been made and no charges have been filed, but all involved parties are accounted for. The investigation is still ongoing. The Florida Department of Health has issued a statewide mosquito-borne illness advisory after 4 locally contracted cases of malaria were reported along the Gulf Coast. On Monday, a health alert issued by the CDC also noted that another case has been detected in Texas, marking the first time there has been a local spread of malaria in the U.S. in 20 years. Malaria causes fever, chills, sweats, nausea, and vomiting, and headaches. It is not spread person to person. The time frame for when a mosquito can become infected to when it can transmit the disease to a person is about 14 days. This is Rachel and A with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MaclemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Highs around 98 this afternoon under clear skies, northwesterly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Lows level off around 75 tonight, clear skies. Highs level off around 99 tomorrow, mainly clear. Temperatures above average Friday and Saturday with highs in the upper 90s. Storms both days. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 96.
This is Kyle, service manager from Barano Heating and Air. Schedule an appointment from your mobile device to learn about our Total Comfort Service Program. With guaranteed same-day service, 15% off necessary repairs, and $25 berry books to use towards air filters and other products. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Any day, anytime, anywhere. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license CAC 1816-186.
My man Eddie.
Jeff, what's happening, dude?
Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the third one in the last month of somebody getting mauled to death by a bear.
Man, bears have their own space. You got to let them have that.
You do. You got to stay clear of bears, is what you're saying?
Yes.
I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, I don't know, longevity time, a mouse.
Just a slow burn.
Slow little burn.
This thing just finished the pinky. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay. Mouse it is. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
45 years of experience. Don't forget, for Power Mill Sports customers, campers, you name it, you're getting better at baseball, softball. They do have camps. Speaking of which, youth camps, a lot of fun and instruction, teaching the fundamental skills such as hitting, throwing, fielding, all the things you're going to need to have a better year. And that is true for softball. That is true for baseball. Programs for every caliber of players. So, if your kid's just starting out, just learning the fundamentals, they got it. If they are an elite player who someday dream of playing in college or the professional ranks, there are 27 alumni in the majors coming out of Power Mill, 2,000 plus alumni in general out of Power Mill. So it's worth checking out. If you want to learn more, go to powermillsports.com. If you would, Tom, time to cue it up.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching probables?
Hey, before I get to that, where was this? Yes, here it was. Every night, Shohei Ohtani does something that you go, oh, really, that's cool. Pitched 6 1/3 last night, gave up 4 hits, 1 run, struck out 10, also hit 2 400-plus foot home runs. What was it, 6 times that's been done since 1893? It's just silly. I think they actually won this time. Normally he does all these things and they lose.
I believe that feat has not been accomplished by anybody other than Ohtani since the 50s?
Yeah,
the late 50s?
Yeah. People, I immediately assumed Babe Ruth was on that list. If you go back and look, Tom, and I did do some research on this, it was very rare in Babe Ruth's career that he pitched and played and hit. Most of the time, he didn't when he pitched.
Yeah, the better example of slugging power and ops by today's measure is Walter Johnson in the 20s. A pitcher who dominates and then who rakes. But that was, very limited. But Walter Johnson had an ops of over 1,000 for, I think, in 1924 or 1925.
The one great regret is that Dave Winfield was never given the opportunity to be a dominant pitcher and hitter. Winfield, in the College World Series, struck out 10 on the mound. He was an elite pitcher. But when he got to the league, he was just such a valuable player in the outfield that they just let him hit and play outfield. He was also a guy who got drafted in the NBA. I mean, that's an athlete. Dave Winfield wasn't having it. But you can go back and find absurd things right now about Shohei, which, once again, you'd say, I don't know, that's never really been done before, ever, by anybody. Probables for today. I know the Braves just won. Did they not? They did. 3-0, huh? Nationals, Mariners, Patrick Corbin, Logan Gilbert, Reds, Orioles, Luke Weaver back at it. Kyle Gibson goes for the Orioles. Mitch Keller going to go on the...
Not just screwing Mitch Keller.
Thank you. Mound for the Pirates, who beat the Padres' ass last night. Blake Snell will pitch for the Padres. He's been a strikeout machine lately. He'll get opportunities galore against the Pirates lineup. Giants, Blue Jays, Logan Webb, TBD. Marlins, Red Sox, who are spanking the Red Sox these days. Braxton Garrett goes for the Marlins, TBD for the Red Sox. Brewers, Mets. Hey, you beat the Brewers last night.
Yeah, won a ball game.
Wade Miley and Senga.
Senga-san.
Stroh's Cardinals. He's been your best pitcher.
Yes.
Stroh's Cardinals, Christian Javier.
The only pitcher who's doing as he should have, which is you struggle at times as you get used to Major League Baseball, but you still have a sub-4 ERA.
Yeah, he's been good.
Everybody else not doing what they're supposed to do.
No. Falling down on the job. Astros, Cardinals, Christian Javier, Miles Mikolas.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Wow, dry.
Yeah, hey now. Tigers, Rangers, Joey Wentz, Dane Dunning. We've got the Phillies and the Cubs, Aaron Nola, Drew Smiley. Guardians, Royals, Logan Allen, Austin Cox. Dodgers, Rockies, TBD, Kyle Freeland. White Sox, Angels, Lucas Giolito. Jaime Barrera. Or Barrera. Rays, D-backs, Zach Eflin, and Zach Davies. The Zacks are on the hill. Yankees, A's. A's beat the Yankees last night. 2-1. Yankees struggling to score. Domingo Germán goes for the Yankees. J.P. Sears goes for the A's. And I already mentioned that the Braves beat the Twins this afternoon. Colby Allard was the starter. Kenta Maeda was the starter for the Twins. And that is a look at those that shall rise out of the bump.
Boy, going to be a lot of pleasant conversations about baseball up in New York next week. There'll be a lot of happy bar goers watching the ball games.
I do think, back to the Ohtani discussion here for a second, I think what he's done, and now you see that kid at Florida, and then there's been talk about how in Japan there are more guys like this, not like Shohei, but other players that do this. We are going to end a century-plus old streak of antiquated ways of thinking. I've never understood. Because, listen, I love baseball, and I think it's really hard, like incredibly hard to hit a baseball, probably the hardest thing to do in sport, as they say. But it ain't hard to play baseball, meaning like to stand in right field.
Not all that
hard.
taxing.
Not all that hard. It's not hard to stand at second. You got to make a play. And the play you have to make may be difficult, but you ain't making them like 10 in 10 seconds. You're going to be standing around doing a whole lot of nothing for long stretches at a time.
This is also why I think Ohtani is better suited for the modern time with the pitch clock, because he's in regular shape. A lot of the pitchers around baseball this year complaining about potential injuries. They're losing their wind because you could be CC Sabathia. Didn't matter. You could take your time. If you need a little breather, you could walk off the
fat
mound.
ass could get your breath.
Tap the rosin bag around, like whatever you needed to do. They'd give you a minute. You want a minute? You got it. but not anymore.
No.
And so an athlete like a Shohei Ohtani, a true athlete,
A freak of an
elite athlete, is more suited for this rapid pace. He's in better shape.
And currently that leads the American League in homers, RBIs, slugging, OPS, total bases. He also leads the American League in fewest hits per 9 innings, strikeouts per 9 innings, hit by pitches, wild pitches. If you're scoring at home, by the way, he's probably the league MVP right now. If you only consider his hitting, he's not quite the Cy Young Award winner right now, but he's close. So it's crazy. That's nuts. There's nobody else like this.
No, this is a total unicorn. And leave it to, this is not news, but leave it to the Angels to have two of the best players in the last 50 years and do nothing with them. Maybe this year will be different, but my God, come on now.
I got to get, How much time do we have? Do I have time to read this?
Yeah, you got a minute and a half.
I like this. This is kind of interesting to think about. I saw this. Joe Pesnansky wrote it. I think I saw this the other day. And I just like that guy's really, really good on baseball. If you don't read his stuff, you should. Quoting from his article, I was thinking about something. The widely acknowledged GOAT in every North American team sport is, well, North American. In football, whether you go with Tom Brady or Jerry Rice or Jim Brown or Walter Payton or Lawrence Taylor or Reggie White or whoever else you want to talk about, they're all American. In basketball, whether you want to go with Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, whoever the hell else you want, they're all American. In hockey, whether you go with Gretzky or Gretzky or Gretzky or Gretzky, he's Canadian. So is Connor McDavid as we begin to look forward. I know you got it. And in baseball, you've seen, Baseball 100. Everybody in the top 10 is from the United States, but the world's changing. And here is the perfect example. Shohei Ohtani, if he does this for 10 more years, could go down as the greatest player in baseball history, and he's decidedly un-American.
No debate.
That's cool.
Decidedly un-American.
No, I didn't say
should be a
un-American.
strike
Not
against him.
American is what I said. And, that's fine. I mean, we're watching the world change before our eyes. It's interesting to watch all the different leagues. I mean, think about a guy like Luka.
You can watch the recruiting chat tonight at 6 p.m. on Warchant TV.
That's right. Michael Langston is an American. Good job out of you. Good job out of you. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Peace.